Now, I know a lot of people probably clicked on this video thinking, these guys are going to give me 10 assets that if I buy them by the end of the year, I'll be rich. It's going to be so easy. But I hate to burst your bubble. These assets are no easy way to wealth. You actually have to put time and effort into learning them, getting your head around them, doing a bit of reading, and yes, they can make you a lot of money, but you have to at least put in a bit of work up front. Hey everyone, welcome to the Financial Freedom Channel, a channel where you'll learn about being financially free in your earlies. So if you want to learn how to better handle your money, how to invest, get out of debt, and want to achieve financial freedom, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so you never miss any update. Watch the video till the end and do smash the like button. Share this video with a friend and leave a comment below letting me know what topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. We all know that wealthy individuals have multiple ways of making money, and they don't just depend on one source of income. Virtually all rich and successful people have assets that produce money and long-term wealth. But first, learn what are these assets that are making people rich. Right now, as we speak, in this episode of Financial Freedom, let's talk about the top 10 assets that are making people rich right now. Before we get into the assets, it is important to understand what an asset is. For the purposes of this video, let's use author of the popular book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's definition of an asset. An asset is an object, a property, or any possession that puts money in your pocket. In simple words, everything that puts money in your pocket is an asset. On the other hand, a liability takes money out of your pocket. Wealthy people focus on collecting assets and limiting liabilities. This way, they can grow their wealth. Now that we have our definition of an asset, let's get cracking right into the first asset. Online business. One of the biggest ways people are making money as we speak is through building their own businesses. Now, for most people, starting and scaling a business is not a passive way of earning money. Building and scaling a business takes a lot of work, but if done right, we can systemize this business to be more passive, and so training this business into a passive income asset. Some example of online businesses: building apps and websites, launching a podcast, affiliate marketing, dropshipping, social media. Number 2, stocks. Stocks have made people wealthy for centuries. Did you know that if you bought $220 of Microsoft stock worth $5,000 in 1986, today would be worth over $50,000? Stocks are not as complicated as they might appear. When a person buys a stock, they are buying a small piece of a company, which makes them a small part owner of the company, and in turn, they are entitled to the growth and profitability of the company. For example, if a company worth $10 million issues 1 million shares and you own 50,000 shares, this makes you the owner of 5% of this company. In other words, you own $500,000 worth of this company. Now, there are two main ways people get rich using stocks. If the stocks of the company you own increase in value, for example, from $10 million to $50 million, then the value of your 5% ownership also increases from $500,000 to $2.5 million. For example, the company Microsoft in January of 2010 was worth around $234 billion, and 10 years later, by March of 2020, Microsoft was worth around $1.6 trillion, and currently it is worth $1.7 trillion in 2021. This means that investors who bought Microsoft stocks in January of 2010 have made an average of 640% return on their investment over the last 10 years. A $10,000 investment would be worth around $64,000 as of March 2020. Another way people make money using stocks is by collecting dividends. Many companies distribute part of the profits to share owners every quarter. Investors that receive dividends receive a quarterly check on top of their investment growth. Investors that receive dividends receive a quarterly check on top of their investment growth. Investors can either use this passive income from dividends to use and spend, or they can reinvest this cash flow back into buying more stocks, allowing them to compound their earnings even further. 3. Bonds. Another investment that people use as part of their get-rich strategy are bonds. If a government or a company needs to raise capital to fund a project, they will issue bonds for investors to buy. A bond is different to a stock. While a stock is a small ownership of the company that entitles you to the gains or losses of a company, a bond is a debt that a company has to investors. This means that if you purchased a bond, you are lending money to the company or a government to be paid with interest at a predetermined date. Bonds are considered safer for investments than stocks, since they are not ownership of a company but loans to be paid. So, if a company loses market value, the stockholder also loses value. But bondholders do not, and in some instances they actually gain value, since the company still has to pay their debts, whether they lose market value or not, unless the company goes bankrupt. They will have an obligation to pay their debts to bondholders. Now, since bonds are typically safe for investments, they also bring a lower return, or investment with an average return of 3% per year. Investors use bonds to diversify their investment portfolio and limit their total risk. Bonds can also be bought in major stock exchanges, just like stocks. Number 4 is digital products. Digital products are becoming a massive asset for any business or individual. Have you ever noticed how some of the biggest celebrity entrepreneurs, people like Damon John for example, are getting into the digital information business? This is because digital products are highly profitable assets. This is something that you can create once and profit from it day in, day out in a passive way. Now, there's a variety of different types of digital products. For example, let's say that my friend Sam here is a filmmaker. There are many different digital assets that he can create to add income to his business. For example, if other filmmakers like the way he uses colour, he can create a preset for his colour grading styles for other filmmakers to use. He can also create music stock footage or sounds that he can sell to other creators. As a filmmaker, he can create plugins to make editing easier for other creators. He can also create a training course teaching others his process of producing films, and just like that, Sam now has 6 digital products that can generate money on top of his filmmaking business, even if he's not active. We now come to number 5, copyrights. Copyrights protect intellectual property such as books, music, or poetry, among others. This is a great asset since these copyright can also be licensed out for our royalties. One of my favourite examples is J.K. Rowling. She's the author of the popular Harry Potter book series, providing her with royalties every time the book was bought. Then the books were made into movies, providing her with another layer of royalties, since her intellectual property was used for the movies. Another layer of royalties come from the merchandise sold based on her characters. Then Universal Studios created the wizarding world of Harry Potter, where the attractions are based on her intellectual property, adding more to her royalties. Reportedly, Rowling earns royalties from ticket sales, merchandise, food, and even beverages sold within the park, since they all use her intellectual property, and more royalties come from her licensing deals to produce the Broadway shows based on her writing of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. 6. Real estate. Real estate is a tool that has made many people wealthy for years, and for a good reason. As population increases, more and more people need a place to live. This creates many different ways to create wealth using real estate. The first one is by renting out your property to tenants and receive a check every month with no ongoing work needed, making this type of income passive income. The second way people build wealth with a real estate is by using debt. Yes, many investors take out debt in form of a mortgage to buy a property. This allows them to buy a property even if they do not have the total amount to buy it, while having their tenants pay down their loan and building up their equity in their property. For example, if you bought a property for $100,000 with a $20,000 down payment, this means that you took a loan of $8,000, let's say for the next 15 years. This means that you have a mortgage payment of $445 per month, excluding taxes. Since tenants are paying your rent, this means that they are also paying for your mortgage. You are making an extra $5,333 per year in equity, on top of your monthly cash flow. But we're not done yet. Real estate values tend to grow over time, so if held for a long period of time, a property can be sold at a much higher price than it was bought for. Now, there are many different types of real estate. Residential real estate, properties where people live. Commercial real estate, properties where people conduct a business in like an office building or a restaurant. There's also land or farm real estate that can be rented out to farming businesses to expand their operations while collecting a rent check. 7. Rates. That's R-E-I-T-S. Now, if real estate sounds good, but we don't want to deal with all the management and the logistics of owning real estate, then a rate can be a good option for investors. This stands for Real Estate Investment Trust, which is a company that owns and operates real estate where investors can buy shares and receive dividends. A rate is similar to a stock. When an investor buys a rate, they are buying a share of a company that owns and manages real estate properties. This company collects the cash flow generated from the properties and distributes their earnings to their shareholders as dividends. Real estate investment trusts can also be bought and sold in major public exchanges such as the New York Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq, making it easier to buy and sell. 8. Index funds. We talked about stocks earlier and how many people have become wealthy using them, but this type of asset takes it a little further. Just as we can make money with stocks, we can also lose money with stocks, and buying individual stocks can be quite risky. No one can really predict what the market will do, and unless you are a master investor like Warren Buffett or Ray Dalio, chances are trying to predict how one specific company will perform is a risky move. This is why index funds are an asset on their own. Index funds are types of mutual funds that match or track a section of the financial market, like the S&P 500, which tracks the 500 biggest companies in the US. This means that if one company loses 20% of their value, your overall investment doesn't. The benefits of an index fund are: 1. Instant diversification, since you are buying not just one company, but a whole sector of the market. Your investment is safer than if you put all of your money in one company. 2. Operating expenses are low. Since this type of fund follows a sector of the market, it doesn't require any active management. This means no management fees that eat up your profits. 9. Patents or trademarks. If you have an invention that you think could be potentially lucrative, you can file for a patent to protect your invention, and companies will have to pay you to use your invention. This could be an idea, a product, or software. If your invention has marketable value, you can license your patent to companies and make residual income from it. Have you ever heard of Linky? This simple little invention has made around $3 billion in profits, and the same with Furby. This patented idea made around $500 million per year at its peak. Now, trademarks are a little different. Trademarks protect other properties such as logos, names, and even phrases. There are many popular catchphrases that are trademarked. For example, this phrase that you can see on the screen right now was trademarked by Disney and cannot be used commercially by any other company without cutting Disney a check. Finally, number 10, commodities. Oil, water, and gold. These are all scarce resources. We have a limited amount of them on the planet, especially water, and if you become an owner in something that has a finite amount of it, it's normally a valuable investment. Another great thing about certain types of commodities is you get big tax breaks. For example, oil. Tangible cost for drilling is 100% tax deductible. So, there's major benefits to certain commodity investments. Like these, another type of commodity to consider owning is Bitcoin. Yes, it's a currency, but it's also a commodity at the same time. If Bitcoin continues to grow its influence, and more people adopt the use of it practically, then there is a lot of potential money to be made. However, Bitcoin is also very risky. There's no doubt about that, at least compared to the other assets that I've talked about. But you see, the difference between the rich and the poor is poor people say, get a secure job and climb your way up that corporate ladder, put on that suit and tie every day, work 9 to 5 and you'll make some money. However, rich people say, work for assets. This way, you'll make money while you sleep. Buy stocks, commodities, real estate when you can, and most importantly, if you truly want to become wealthy, you have to start up your own business, and the way forward is online. The opportunity is now, but most, unfortunately, will not take this opportunity. Okay guys, I hope you liked the video and learnt something valuable from it. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you want to achieve financial freedom. See you in the next video. If you want to receive notifications about our next video, just hit that bell icon.